Why was Princess Margaret's daughter left waiting at the church? Now let's take a look back at Lady Sarah Chatto's very rapid wedding to husband Daniel. And do you think the bride's wedding gown should be considered one of the most beautiful wedding gowns of all the royal brides? Do you think she stood out more than the late Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Diana, or even Princess Catherine of Wales? Sarah's wedding at the time was said to have been the Bohemian wedding of the year. It's been considered one of the most romantic wedding gowns in history, and the ceremony was simple but elegant. It's fair to say that the British royal family are one of the most famous dynasties in the world. However, one royal who likes to keep a low profile is the late Princess Margaret's daughter, Lady Sarah Chatto. Lady Sarah's childhood was mixed with splendour and personal challenges. She was born in the heart of the British royal family. She would experience the privileges and splendour that came with her regal heritage. She was raised where tradition and duty are paramount. However, the marriage of both her parents, the late Queen Elizabeth's sister, Princess Margaret, to her husband, started to unravel over time. And by the time Lady Sarah was 12, her parents had separated. Sarah would have found this an upheaval and challenging, and as she went through the complex role of her royal duties and education, her parents would finally divorce 2 years later. Despite these personal challenges, Sarah would have found comfort and inspiration in the royal palaces like Kensington, Sandringham, and Balmoral. These would have provided great support whilst visiting with her family. The sprawling gardens and perfect countryside. This is where Sarah might have discovered a passion that has stayed with her for her entire life: painting. She's a talented and professional painter. Sarah also loves to paint landscapes. The late Queen Elizabeth gave Sarah lots of love and support and affection. She was a great stability in her life, and Sarah was considered to be the late Queen Elizabeth's favourite. Sarah is also extremely close to her cousin King Charles III. They can be seen frequently together and share many interests. They have a mutual respect for each other and share passions like the art. They also share comfort in each other's company. And let's remember, she was also chief bridesmaid to her cousin Prince Charles, to Lady Diana. In fact, it was their wedding that placed Sarah into the spotlight. Sarah would spend 2 years in India with her father during the 1980s, where he was employed to take photographs for the production of the film A Passage to India. It was in India where she met her future husband Daniel Chatto, who was working on another British film, Heat and Dust. Daniel is from a theatrical background and is the son of Tom Chatto. Daniel is an artist and an actor with a shared passion for the arts and the same interests. It was when they returned to England they decided to marry. Here are some of the details of their wedding. Princess Margaret's daughter married Daniel Chatto on July the 14th, 1994. The ceremony at St. Stephen's Walbrook Church took only 30 minutes, but we'll cover more of that later. Sarah is one of the more private members of the royal family. Sarah does not undertake official royal duties. There are few relatives closer to the late Queen than her niece, Lady Sarah Armstrong-Jones. In fact, the late Queen was said to have just simply adored Princess Margaret's daughter. Lady Sarah is the only daughter of Princess Margaret and Anthony Armstrong-Jones, who later became the first Earl of Snowdon. And for all her importance to the royal family, in 1994, her marriage to Daniel Chatto was distinctly low-keyed compared to other royal weddings at the time. Daniel and Sarah were married on July the 14th, 1994 at St. Stephen Walbrook Church that was in London and just front of 200 guests. Also in attendance from the royal family was Lady Sarah's aunt, Queen Elizabeth II, and her uncle Prince Philip, as well as her grandmother, the Queen Mother, her cousins Princess Anne and Prince Edward, and with his bride-to-be, Sophie Rhys-Jones, now the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Princess Diana, Viscount and Viscount Linley, as well as lots more. Did you know that the Reverend Shad Farrar, founder of the Samaritans and also a pioneer and sex therapist, actually officiated the wedding? The duo announced their engagements just 2 months before in May 1994, with Daniel proposing to Sarah with a rather unusual engagement ring. Sarah's engagement ring has been described as an early 19th century diamond cluster with table-cut stones set in silver surrounded by red gold shank chased with roses. Daniel was said to have sourced the ring from Maudsley's on their wedding day in July. The couple wore plain gold wedding bands purchased from the same brand, providing that it was a popular choice. Maudsley is a British family firm of antique dealers specialising in Russian works of art, particularly those by Carl Fabergé, fine jewellery and silver, and they were founded in 1865. Princess Margaret's only daughter looked beautiful wearing her old-style clustered ring from Daniel. Like many other royal engagement rings, Sarah's is likely to have had a hidden meaning. It was a fitting choice for an artist, which Sarah continues to be under her maiden name, Sarah Armstrong-Jones. As Sarah's engagement ring was designed in the 19th century, this makes it an antique jewel. Daniel would have known that information before purchasing the jewel from Maudsley's. This was a lovely tribute to his future wife, who had a huge interest in art. Lady Sarah Chatto's wedding dress is considered to be by most one of the most beautiful royal bridal wedding gowns of all time. For the bride's wedding dress, Sarah opted for the much in-demand designer of the time, Jasper Conran. He's a British designer. He worked on collections of women's wear and for homeware, as well as productions for the stage in ballet, opera and theatre. The dress is made from layers of ivory gorget fabric, with a square-cut corseted bodice and featured elegant long sleeves. For me, I always felt it was medieval inspired, which begs the question, do you think Lady Sarah Chatto's bridal gown was the best dress of them all? I think its beauty lies in its simplicity. And instead of flower girls, Lady Sarah had 3 bridesmaids. Her cousin's daughter, Zara Phillips, who is now Zara Tyndall, Princess Anne's daughter, Sarah, half-sister Lady Frances Armstrong-Jones, and her friend Tara Noble Singh. The bridesmaid dresses were strikingly similar to the bride's own wedding dress, all featuring long sleeves, full skirts, and a corset bodice that laced up the back. The notable differences were the round necklines and the bright pink pastel-coloured flowers the bridesmaid's hair. Lady Sarah carried a white bouquet. Although the late Queen Elizabeth II would have lent the royal bride a tiara from a private collection, Lady Sarah chose to wear her own tiara, which had been especially made for the wedding by Maudsley, who combined the brooches in a new floral tiara specifically for Sarah to wear on that day. Sarah chose to mix the diamonds with a wreath of greenery, adding a nifty whiff of genuine nature to the tiara, which began its life originally as a trio of diamond brooches. The Snowdon floral tiara consists of 3 floral diamond brooches along with additional floral elements. The brooches were a gift from her father Anthony to her mother Margaret in 1960 to mark their wedding. I'm going to speculate that Margaret actually gave this tiara to her daughter as a wedding gift. Sarah's earrings were large pearls held on the lobes with the triangle with the diamond 12 V-shaped lines of diamonds worked into a triangle. The late Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon, was born in 1930. It was first seen in public wearing them in the year 1959, probably a gift from her mother, Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Mother, around that time of her engagement to Anthony. Lady Sarah famously wore the triangle pearl earrings on her wedding day to Daniel Chatto in 1994, inherited the special pieces following her mother's death from the late royal jewels. They originally belonged to Dame Margaret Helen Grenville, a popular socialite who left many of her royal jewels to the British royal family. Well worth a Google if you've heard her name for the first time here in this video. They were married at St. Stephen's, Walbrook in London, which is a beautiful church designed by the renowned architect Sir Christopher Warren. As mentioned, it held just 200 guests. It was the first time that the venue had been chosen for a royal wedding, with Lady Sarah's cousin opting for larger, grander scales and locations. This church is simply a must-see if you've ever only seen interest, or even if you've got the slightest interest in Christopher Warren. St. Stephen Walbrook is a stunning, light-filled, clear gas, window, almost white interior church. Construction started in 1672. Check out the inside of this church online. You'll be pleasantly surprised, as I was, just how actually beautiful it is. The wedding came at a turbulent time for the royal family. It was the Queen's Annus Horribilis of 1992, in which both Prince Charles and Prince Andrew separated from their wives. The Queen's Annus Horribilis was marked by a number of events, including marriage difficulties. 3 of the Queen's children experienced marriage problems, including the separation of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, and the divorce of Princess Anne and her husband, Phillips. The fire at Windsor Castle as well, a fire that was caused by a workman's light damaged 100 rooms of Windsor Castle on November the 20th, 1992. There was also leaks, the publication of a racy book and the leaking of a phone conversation between Princess Diana and Prince Charles and their lovers, known as Squidgy Gate, Tapes and Camilla Gate, respectively. There was also media scrutiny. The Queen was distressed by the media's coverage of these events, which she described as completely and utterly cruel and abusive and so invasive. The term annus horribilis is Latin for a horrible year. Sarah and Daniel's wedding also made the headlines for being the first event attended by Charles and Princess Diana since he had admitted to having an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. While Lady Sarah was the niece of the late Queen, the day was understated when compared to other royal weddings which had been previously taken place at Westminster Abbey or St. Paul's Cathedral. The wedding reception was held at the late Queen Mother's London residence, Clarence House. For the reception, the couple spent their honeymoon in India, where they first met. Lady Sarah Chatto met her husband Daniel in India in 1980, while she was there with her father, and he was working on the film, as mentioned, Heat and Dust. She worked as a wardrobe assistant on Heat and Dust, where she first met Daniel. He had a small role in the film. Chatto is a British actor and an artist. He was born on April the 22nd, 1957. He's also appeared in many other films and British TV shows. Bet you didn't know that. Daniel was a British actor. Is there any shows or have you seen him on TV? There wasn't much information on who made Sarah's wedding cake. So if you know of any info or any photos, please be sure to leave a comment in the comment box, as I'd love to hear. The couple went on to have two sons, Samuel born in 1996 and Arthur born in 1999. Last but not least, let's go back to the start. Why was Lady Sarah left standing at the church? And why was it considered one of the fastest royal weddings? The simplicity of the 30-minute service caught everyone by surprise. Even the driver was not in his place when the couple exited the church, causing them to stand outside before they drove off to the reception held at the late Queen Mother's at Clarence House. The 30-minute ceremony, in fact, was so short the driver was caught off guard. He was not even waiting outside. So this meant that Sarah and Daniel were forced to wait for their driver to return outside of the church, leaving the newlyweds standing around. And with this, it gave photographers the wait that it's a perfect opportunity really to take photos of the newlyweds, where they have captured the bride's beautiful photos that we all have today. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to all those who've stayed with me until the end of this video. Thank you. If you like what you see in the video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and keep an eye out for any future royal content.